Dokploy. Let's spin it up.
March 14th, 2026. 11 days before this research. A user upgrades Dokploy to the latest version. The entire installation breaks. This is the 5th documented case of the same pattern in under 6 months. In February, the update detection script itself was broken. In January, certificate issuance failed because the proxy dependency had not been updated to include an upstream fix. In August 2024, upgrading caused data loss in a database service. The update mechanism as a recurring failure is the Dokploy horror story, not a single dramatic incident like the encryption key destruction documented in the previous episode. A pattern. 5 failures in 6 months. A self-hosted tool that cannot be reliably updated is a tool that accumulates unpatched vulnerabilities on a server you are responsible for. And the gap between the most recent documented failure and this research is 11 days, which tells you the pattern is not resolved. Mauricio Siu built Dokploy as an open-source deployment platform. The code repository was public by April 2024. The market context was the same gap that the other platform in this comparison was already filling, the demand created by the removal of a major platform provider's free tier in November 2022. The differentiation was not more features, it was less friction. Where the more established competitor offers over 281 click service templates and a broad feature surface, Dokploy focused on the core deployment workflow for developers who found that breadth overwhelming. The architectural distinction is the container orchestration layer. The competing product deploys primarily to individual servers using composition files. Dokploy uses a clustering system built into the container runtime itself. This system allows multiple servers to form a cluster where services can be scheduled across nodes, replicated for availability, and updated with built-in rolling deployments. For users who want more than a single server setup but are not ready for the complexity of the most widely known orchestration system, this clustering approach is the middle path. The project has never taken venture capital. Revenue comes from a managed cloud offering with multiple plan tiers, launched in late 2024. The Bootstrap model creates the same incentive alignment as the competing product. Build something useful enough that developers pay for the managed version. The community around the project is smaller and newer, which means less accumulated knowledge about edge cases and fewer documented solutions to unusual configurations. But the development pace is active and the cloud product has paying customers. The deployment targets include any server accessible through a secure shell connection. The build system supports automatic detection of the application framework, traditional container definitions, and composition files, which covers the range of approaches developers use without requiring them to adopt a specific workflow. The proxy layer uses the same technology as the competing product, providing automatic certificate management for secure connections, which means the same benefits and the same single point of failure risk apply. The update problem is not a single bug that was fixed. It is a recurring pattern across different types of update failure. The version 0.7 upgrade in August 2024 caused data loss in a database service because the deployment strategy allowed the database container to move between server nodes during the update, which broke its connection to the data stored on the original node. The maintainer acknowledged the problem and adjusted the strategy so the database service would be pinned to a specific node going forward. In September 2024, a code push created multiple deployments that became stuck at the container build stage and never completed. However, the 2026 incidents reveal that the pattern persisted through the fixes. In January, the secure connection certificate system broke because the project was running an older version of its proxy dependency. The fix existed upstream and had been available for some time, but had not been incorporated into the project. In the same month, a dashboard update applied through the web interface did not take effect, requiring the user to connect directly to the server and update manually. In February, the update detection script that should identify the latest stable release from the code repository could not do so correctly. The user had to find and apply the correct version manually. 11 days before this research, upgrading to the latest version broke the installation entirely. The comparison with the other platform in this comparison is instructive. That product's update failures are dramatic and rare, an encryption key destroyed, domains disappearing. This product's update failures are recurrent and predictable. Every update is a potential incident, and the incidents are not becoming less frequent as the project matures. In 2025, a security researcher documented a vulnerability in the preview deployment feature. Preview deployments, the temporary environments created for code review branches, were accessible in a way that created an unintended entry point. The vulnerability was found, disclosed, and patched. The significance is not that the vulnerability existed. Fast-moving projects accumulate security issues, and fixing them after disclosure is the expected response. The significance is that the feature most likely to be used by teams doing collaborative code review was the feature with the security gap, which suggests that newer capabilities may have received less scrutiny than the core deployment functionality. The deployment experience when the update mechanism is not actively breaking things is where the product earns its community reputation. The interface is cleaner and less cluttered than the more established competitor. Developers who try both frequently say this product gets out of the way more often, which is a specific compliment about a tool whose purpose is to manage infrastructure so the developer can focus on code. The build system supports multiple approaches, including an automatic detection system, traditional container definitions, and composition files. The database support covers the most common options with built-in backup capability. Multi-server management, build servers, organization-level access controls, and role-based permissions provide features that small teams need. The one-click service templates are fewer than the competing product, but cover popular choices. The community discussion forums increasingly recommend trying this product first, which is a shift from even 12 months earlier when the more established tool was the default suggestion. If your deployment needs fit the core model cleanly, container-based applications deployed through code repository integrations with automatic certificate management and the option to cluster across multiple servers using the built-in orchestration layer, Dokploy delivers a focused experience that is notably less cluttered than the alternative. The clustering architecture provides a path to multi-node availability that the other product in this comparison does not offer natively. The interface design prioritizes the deployment workflow without the feature sprawl that makes the competing product both comprehensive and occasionally overwhelming. Accept that every update is a potential incident. Back up your application data before updating. Monitor the project's issue tracker closely because the gap between a documented failure and the next release can be measured in days. Test updates on a non-production setup before applying them to servers running live applications. Have monitoring that does not depend on the tool itself. If the proxy layer fails, the monitoring behind it fails with it. The same single point of failure risk documented in the previous episode of this comparison. The product is newer, leaner, and less battle-tested than the tool it is most often compared to. The community is smaller, which means less documentation of edge cases and fewer established workarounds for unusual configurations. The security incident in the preview deployment feature was found and fixed, but it indicates that rapidly developed features may not receive the same scrutiny as the core deployment pipeline. Dokploy is the fresher alternative in a category where the established option has its own well-documented problems. The update pattern is the defining concern, and the decision to use it should account for the operational discipline required to keep it running safely. Back up before every update. Verify the update completed correctly before resuming deployments. And understand that you are adopting a project whose development pace is one of its strengths and whose update reliability is the cost of that pace. The tool that moves fast also breaks things when it updates, and the things it breaks are the deployments you depend on.